What is going on, guys? This is SimuNation, and today I'm going to be talking about the NASCAR Heat 5 game, which is going to be coming out on July 7th for the Gold Edition and July 10th for the Standard Edition. Primarily, I'm going to be talking about the career mode, which is, a lot of the reason most of us even buy the game to start off with. We all, appreciate the simulation and, the realism to it, but of course, there's always room for them to improve, so I'm going to be talking about, 15 things that they could be doing or could add to the game in the near future. That would really make it go a long way, at least in my opinion. So for the first thing I'm going to mention is going to be the trophy room. We used to have that back in the old NASCAR games. I think it was like NASCAR Thunder and Race to the Cup and that type of those games. Those all had trophy rooms, allowed you to view which races you had won whenever you had won championships. It really gave you a sense of accomplishment when you could look back and see all the things you won versus just looking in your career statistics and seeing how many wins you have, but it doesn't tell you where. So I think, first of all, they need to definitely add a trophy room. That's something really simple for them to do, and it would, really add to career mode as a whole. So for number two, I would like, more paint control for player-owned teams. I feel like this is a problem that they've already addressed, and it's going to be fixed here in the next game, at least by seeing what the updated, paint garage looks like. Essentially, whenever you're racing in NASCAR Heat 4 in a career mode, you own your own team. You can't really change the paint model of your car. You can't change it. You just can change the colors, but you have to use the same design, everything like that. And that's just not the case for a lot of the racers. A lot of the cars out there today, most of them have a lot of different models that they go between, as well as sponsors, and of course the colors and everything, which you already can change. But I think they need to give us a little bit more control when we're designing our own cars on our own player-owned teams. With the player-owned teams, that's going to lead me into the third thing, which is going to be multiple car ownership. Whenever you own a team, you're only able to own one car per series, which in today's racing, most teams have at least 3 to 4 cars, and they used to have even more than that sometimes. So I think that they should add that to the game so that you can own multiple cars, you can hire drivers, stuff like that. And that would really, add to the realism, which we're all looking for because we play that game anyways. For number 4, I feel that they should add part-time racing into the game. Right now, you can do hot seat driving and stuff like that when you're in the lower series and you're trying to get into the Monster Energy series. I think it should allow you to do part-time racing for as far as when you're potentially at the end of your career and are only filling in, and you're fine with that, or if you just only, a lot of the racers race in the lower series part-time while they do full-time Monster Energy, and I think that'd be a great thing to add just so you didn't have to put so much effort into maintaining, a truck series team when all you want to do is race it a couple times a year, so I think that would be a good thing to add, make it not such a big deal, because I think, I find myself just doing the Monster Energy series just because I don't want to have to manage, 2 other teams or 3 other teams if I want to race at all in the other series. That's going to lead me into number 5, which is going to be progression in career to mean something. I feel like you're kind of stuck in this endless loop when you're playing career mode as it is right now, where you get all, you win your winnings, you upgrade your car, you upgrade the shop, you get better workers, and then you just keep doing it over and over and over again. Your car's always maxed out to 100. And once you have the best sponsors, which doesn't take that hard to do once you get yourself on a regular team in the normal season, and then go to form your own team the next season, it's not that hard to do. I feel like it should be a little bit more challenging, and it should actually mean something. So, actual rewards and stuff like that based off your finishes, something like that, so you don't just feel like you're in this endless loop, which a lot of simulations can end up feeling that way. But I think they need to basically make it mean something, look like we only have X amount of time, because drivers do eventually retire, but of course in the game you don't, unless I haven't played long enough to eventually get to that point. But yeah, that's definitely something they should add. For number 6, it's going to be staff control and pit crew. Right now you're able to upgrade the speed of your pit crew, and you're able to do upgrades on your mechanics and stuff like that in your garage. I think it would really go a long way to add control over the pit crew. It could let you know what mistakes were made, because in the end, in real life, those guys are all human. They're going to make mistakes, and sometimes they get fired as a result of it. It'd be nice if there was little mistakes thrown in there, and you can, of course, turn that feature on and off if you want, if you don't want that to even be a factor. But a lot of the racers now are having to deal with stuff like that. They have to change their pit crews. That's all part of it that makes it real. So I think that'd be a great addition to the game. For number 7, I'd like vehicle control during cautions and pit stops. And I've mentioned this in my last video about NASCAR Heat 5, where I said that, this is something that iRacing does that NASCAR doesn't. And that's fine if there's that separation there. But if NASCAR Heat wants to make that jump to being a lot more realistic, they need to give the players control during cautions and pit stops, because it's just really boring as it is to see a crash and then you have no control over your vehicle. You're not trying to avoid it, and in the end, even if you crash after the caution flag's waved, it won't mean anything anyways. But I think it'd be great if they added your own control and during pit stops, so you could just basically have that full control. It doesn't really make sense as it is. You can't swerve back and forth, but then once the green flag goes, then you're free to go. It just doesn't make much sense, and I think it'd be really great if they added that feature to give us that control. For number 8, I think there should be rookie racers and retirees in the game. Especially right now with this being Jimmy Johnson's last season. There's factors like that always included in it. There's extra little drama. When there's rookies, sometimes they can try essentially a form of hazing them, intentionally trying to crash them, give them extra bumps, stuff like that. But there's nothing like that right now. You just have the same drivers no matter how long, no matter how many seasons you go, which just isn't the case. There's players being fired, there's rookies coming up, there's people retiring. Those things need to happen just like in almost any other simulation game, especially, like NFL, NBA, stuff like that. Players retire and new ones come up, and that's just how the game goes. I think that'd be a great thing for them to add into this game as well. For number 9, I think I would like to see a little bit more mechanical issues that result in do not finishes and stuff like that, or did not finish. There's just not many of those. You just see lap counters down -7 after one crash, and it doesn't quite make any sense. I think they really should add things like that where teams just call it a day based off of a random issue that wasn't resulting in a crash or anything like that. And I think that really would add to the realism of the the whole game, because it really is what happens in real life. So for number 10, I'm going to say multiple sponsors in a season is a thing I would like to see them take over to career mode. As it stands right now, you just pick your sponsor at the beginning of the season. Right now, I feel like it's Napa and Mountain Dew and another one that are the 3 big sponsors that you can choose from at the end of a season in NASCAR Heat 4, and that's it. And that's the only sponsor you can have on your car. I think that they should allow you to have multiple sponsors, because you see cars all the time. Every single team has multiple major sponsors that they alternate between, but still advertise the one on maybe the side of their car or something like that. And they just change it up a little bit based off of, who paid what for what race. And I think that would be something they should add too, because you never really see a car with only one sponsor anymore. I mean, you can see some of the smaller teams with that, but the bigger teams, they're alternating. Like for example, Chase Elliott, I believe he has Napa, Hooters, Mountain Dew, and maybe a couple others, but he has all those that he alternates between. And then for Mountain Dew, there's different types of Mountain Dew that they advertise. There's just so many different options there. But I think it really leaves a lot to be desired in its current form. I think that's something they should update. And that sponsor mention there for that number 10, I'm going to go into number 11 here and say sponsor rotation between teams would be a really cool thing to add. Sometimes sponsors don't like what they're getting out of the current deal they have with a racer, so they might jump and switch. It would be interesting to see if one time, Napa's sponsoring Chase Elliott, and the next season they're sponsoring, William Byron or something like that. And that would just be, like I've been saying this whole video, add to the realism of it. Because, there's a way you can play it arcade if you want to, but a lot of us play it because we like how, real it is. We like the experience of being able to manage our own team. And it's really missing a lot of those features. It just feels like we're playing a looped version of a arcade game, where there really is no end goal. There's nothing really changing. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. So I think sponsor rotation is once again one of those things that will add to it as a whole. Number 12, and this could just really apply to the game as a whole, I think it just needs better damage mechanics, as far as when you get hit and everything like that. There's a lot of damage that looks really similar every single time you do it, no matter what side of the car you hit it on. You kind of expect what damage is going to happen to your car after you hit it. there's no, I have my damage usually set to high, and it still is not even close to what that car would look like if it was hit in a real race. There's hits that I've went through in a race and still just hopped past the caution, didn't even have the pit stop, and I'm still racing. It doesn't make any sense. So that's something that I feel that they definitely should add if they want to achieve that better realism. Number 13 is going to be weather conditions. Now this one is more or less, I don't really know if anyone else agrees with me on this one. A lot of the races we're seeing now, and this could be due to the whole COVID thing and the restructuring of the schedule, so they might be encountering more storms and stuff like that they originally wouldn't be. But it would be interesting to see if they could add such a thing for like lightning delays, or if the track, is extremely hot or whatever it might be. Things like extra things to influence how the race goes. I mean, we've seen people they didn't even finish the race out of the fact that it was too hot and they had to get out of their car because they couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't know if I'm necessarily looking for that, because that's a little bit of an extreme circumstance. But there's a lot of factors such as like humidity, wind, stuff like that, and it's just not considered. It's almost like you're racing on a perfect day each time, which just isn't really the case. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and a lot of things that can influence how your car handles and stuff like that. And it once again is one of those things that if you add it, of course, it will add to the realism, as I've mentioned in almost every single one of the things that I've mentioned in this list. For number 14, fan interaction events. I saw on IDK Players video, I saw that he mentioned something about players being able to be booed or cheered based off of their status with the fans, and I really liked what he had mentioned there, because that really is what they used to do in the older games. You used to be able to build a rapport with your fans, and you used to be able to get, I don't know if it resulted in a cheer or not, but it was something you could manage. I think that's something that all the real racers of today have to manage. So it'd just be something simple that they could add that would really, just allow us to modify more and control more of the racing. For number 15, this is definitely a far-fetched one, and I don't see this happening in NASCAR Heat 5. If they did, that would be phenomenal, but I could see it maybe happening in a later installment of the game. But for number 15, I'm thinking like of an open world garage and pre-race interaction and stuff like that between racers and crews. So imagine if you've ever played like a WWE 2K game, before like an event, before you go to your match, and even after, you can walk around in the backstage, interact with different wrestlers, crew, stuff like that. All before the match, of course. I think that would be something that would be really cool to add, as far as you being able to walk around, interact with other drivers. You can start rivalries that way, do interviews, interact with fans. You can see, your garage and stuff, see your car, sitting there and see all the other racers' cars and everything like that. And I think that kind of leads into all the world of being able to update, the RV that you have, or even the equipment you have. Maybe when you start out, you just have these really bad versions of them, like a really small trailer with no decals on it. A kind of like a camper, not even an RV, just things that you can upgrade based off of your winnings and your income. Just for more things to add to buy, and you can just build your whole setup and create, like a better equipment for yourself and everything like that. I think that'd be something great that they could add, as far as being able to update and upgrade all of that stuff. It would give you more to focus on other than just the racing, which is what they all have to focus on in real life. And that one I definitely think is far-fetched, but it would add so much to the game in my opinion, and that would definitely be a NASCAR Heat that I would love to play. But anyway, guys, those are the 15 things that I think they need to add to the game at some point for NASCAR Heat 5. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If there's anything that I missed that you think they definitely should add to this game, or if there is something that I already listed that that they're adding to this game, definitely leave a comment below. But otherwise, guys, feel free to check out my other videos, and I appreciate, again, you guys watching this video. Definitely leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys